if you happen to be in a well-connected island like Hawaii or Fiji, well-connected meaning that you're on the international fiber optic networks, then there's no big difficulty. But the moment you go a bit further afield, like Cook Islands or Tuvalu or Niue or places like this, then you basically have one option, and that's satellite. And satellite's a very expensive option, so you're typically talking several hundred US dollars a month per megabit per second of deployed capacity. And that's not the only problem, though. You then also find that even though you do have the capacity, when you're looking at the utilization you're getting out of it, it's often only part of what's being deployed. And if you're trying to push further, it doesn't seem to be getting a lot of further. And at the root of this is the behavior of the TCP protocol. What happens is that you get those multiple TCP senders trying to all simultaneously send to the island. And when they're in what's called the slow start phase, trying to gauge how much capacity they've got available, on that link, then they start sending very, very little, data at first, and the link can generally handle this. So after a while, there's acknowledgements coming back from the island, and that then encourages the senders to send more. And they ramp up their rates pretty quick, and they all do this pretty much at the same time. So what then happens is, because the link itself represents a bottleneck, all the traffic banks up at the entrance to that bottleneck, which happens to be the satellite uplink station. And then the queue that's sitting there will at some point simply overflow and dump packets wholesale. And this is a serious problem, because while this is happening, the senders still get acknowledgements coming back from the island because the round trip time is so long. So as a result of that, they'll continue accelerating for a little while until they then finally no longer get acknowledgements because most of the packets got dropped, at which point they're all rather simultaneously back off again. So they reduce their sending rates rather drastically, and they keep doing so because it takes a while until they get an acknowledgement back again. So during that time, that queue at the satellite ground station clears, or pretty much clears, and when there's nothing in the queue, the satellite link has nothing to transmit. So it just sits there idle for maybe half a second, something like this, and then the whole process repeats again. And so depending on what kind of satellite connection you've got and where you sit and what bandwidth is deployed and how much demand there is, you can actually at times maybe only access about 50% of the deployed capacity on average. Sometimes possibly less than that. We've got data from Tuvalu, for example, that suggests that in reality they're only able to access about a quarter of what's been deployed, maybe a little less than that even. That's really something for which there's no easy, straightforward remedy, because if you want to make TCP behave differently, you have to literally change it on every single device on the internet. What we've been thinking about is whether there is a way of tricking TCP into thinking that it's not losing any packets. And so what happened is we came across a technology that was spearheaded by a team at MIT in Boston. And they basically came to us initially, to our attention through a conference in information theory that I happened to attend a few years ago. And so I got the group leader to come over here to New Zealand a few years ago as a Vice Chancellor's lecturer at Auckland University. And so I talked to her about this and basically said, look, do you think this would be something suitable in an island situation? And she said, yes, absolutely. So that's how that project was born, and we then got in touch with a few of our contacts in the Pacific and said, would you like to be part of the pilot? And most of them kind of agreed, and so we've so far deployed in Rarotonga, Aitutaki, and Tuvalu, and in Niue. In Niue, it's less clear-cut because in Niue we're in a situation where we're having a link that's permanently overloaded, even by very, very short TCP connections that don't oscillate, that are so short that they keep the queue nice and well filled. And there still, though, we're able to kind of bulldoze our way through. So if there's something that an emergency would require, a large download or something like that, then with that technology, that's actually something that we could make happen. We're now coming to a point where we really have to prove that this would sort of work on an island-wide, scale. And so to this end, we're currently constructing a simulator which uses a large number of Raspberry Pis and other small machines in order to simulate clients sitting on an island, and then a number of servers to simulate the satellite link and servers offshore that send data. And with this, we're hoping to be able to basically replicate the traffic mix that you would be getting, from an island, to then demonstrate the kind of effects that we would, normally see in an island. And we would also at that point hope, obviously to be able to demonstrate that the technology is powerful enough to encode the traffic for an entire mid-sized island, like, for example, Rarotonga. We've certainly demonstrated that we are able, for individual connections at least, with small numbers of connections, we're quite easily able to hide. Doing this for a whole of island scenario is a lot more difficult, partly because it requires a slight network restructuring on the island end, and we can't simply go to a Pacific island and say, look, would you mind unplugging for a day till we've reconfigured you? That's just not on, and so that's why we're basically having to do this in a simulated environment.